That's perfect.
All right, I will call this meeting of the City of International Falls to order. It is 5:30 on October 1st, 2023. If you could please join me in pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Please note that our at-large Councilor Holden, is absent tonight. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written. We don't have any additions or deletions.
I'll move.
We have a motion by Councilor Buller. We have a second by Councilor Kaler. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Go to the minutes of Monday, September 18th, 2023. Chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Councilor Wagner. Second by Councilor Buller. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries. We'll go on to the minutes of the Thursday, September 21st, Special Committee of the Whole meeting. Chair would entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll move.
We have a motion by Councilor Kaler.
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilor Buller. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Next, we go to the minutes of Monday, September 25th, Special City Council meeting. Chair would entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Buller,
Second.
second by Councilor Wagner. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Next, we go to the payments and claims. We have a, going to the 101 General Fund is $1,167.85, and that's coming from the 812 Lodging Tax Fund. Accounts payable and claims, we have International Falls regular claims of $2,049,137.17. Airport commission claims of $66,112.09. Major projects for the airport, $128,116.28. And airport runway Part 3 project of $10,865.40 for a total of $2,254,230.94. Chair would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution.
Motion to adopt the resolution.
We have a motion by Councilor Wagner,
I'll second.
second by Councilor Kaler. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And I will vote yes, motion carries 4-0. We'll go to audience. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to bring anything forward to the council? Hearing none, you'll also have an opportunity at later in the meeting. We'll go down to old business. We have approved the second and final reading of the ordinance of the 5th series to add floodplain to the Code of Ordinances for floodplain regulation for the City of International Falls. Chair would entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Buller. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Wagner. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And I will vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Go down to new business. We have a resolution to apply to participate in the National Floodplain Program. Chair would entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll move.
We have a motion by Councilor Kaler. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Wagner. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0.
Thanks, Walt.
Approve the mayoral. Oh, that's funny. Approve the mayoral proclamation recognizing National Pregnancy and Infants Loss Awareness and Remembrance Day of October 15th, 2023. Chair would entertain a motion to approve that proclamation.
I'll move.
We have a motion by Councillor Kaler. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councillor Wagner. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Next, we have mayoral appointments of members to the Charter Commission for City Council confirmation. We have Sabrina Etney, Doug Franchot, Ramona Johnson, and Sandra Thompson. Chair would entertain a motion to confirm those appointments from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2026.
I'll move.
Okay, you'll sue.
I'll so move.
So move, okay, gotcha.
Second.
Counselor Buller and a second of Counselor Wagner. Discussion?
I would just like that, these are returning members to the Charter Commission, and they, along with the others that are involved, have put in a lot of work redoing the charter, or not redoing it, but making some changes, and now we can have a meeting and discuss where we're going to go from there, and what that will entail is bringing it, I imagine, to legislation committee and then the council to approve.
Now, I realize that we're voting on the commission members, but just with what you brought up, did the league take a look at it and everything met the criteria that they had set out for?
Yep, a couple times, yeah, we met with them a couple times anyhow, right, Lisa, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're ready to go, yeah, it's trying, because it's a while in the process getting, it's for a long, since we had our last meeting, but, yeah, so it should be coming soon, is the short of
Excellent.
it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I will call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Next, we go to recommendation of the finance officer hiring committee to fill the vacant finance officer position. Lisa, you want to give us some background on that process that we had? Oh, please, I'm sorry. I usually go with city administrator, so I just immediately went down. Sherry, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Probably
Pleasure to
started
be
with
here.
Walt, but-
So the Finance Officer Hiring Committee included City Administrator Bergstrom, current Finance Officer Brad Edestat, and myself. We received 5 applications and resumes, interviewed 3 of those, and we extended a conditional offer of employment to Emma Rudd, previous employer of the city.
Employer of the city.
Employee, sorry, thank you.
We're working for her now, apparently. All right, so Chair would entertain a motion to approve that recommendation.
I so move.
We have a motion by Counselor Buller. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Counselor Kaler. Discussion?
Yes.
How many applicants did you have?
There were 5 in total.
Okay.
Yep.
And what did she formerly do for the city?
Oh, she was the administrative support specialist. Her true passion all along, I don't want to speak for Emma, who is here tonight, but her true passion all along has been accounting. So she has her degree in accounting and
Numbers.
numbers, yes.
That's what we need.
All right.
Did you want to get her up here?
Yeah.
Emma, do you want to come forward to the city council?
Practice?
Say
You want to practice?
All right.
Just wave, Emma.
Welcome.
We haven't hired her yet.
Or welcome, oh, wait.
We have not voted
have
on
not
this.
voted.
There's, nothing is certain.
Okay,
He
not
meant a
yet.
contingent welcome back.
Okay, a contingent welcome back.
Yes.
All right, well, we do have a motion and a second, so there's a high likelihood that you're going to get 2 out of 4 votes. Call the question.
Aye.
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 And I guess I'll vote yes as well. Welcome back, Emma.
Go back.
Oh, now you want to talk,
yeah?
now that you're hired.
Said before, my father changed their mind.
It was all dependent upon what was said, or the vote.
Yeah.
All right. And next we have recommendation of the police chief to fill vacant patrol officer positions.
Yep, and I'm going to let Chief Koscheck speak to that. He did all the heavy lifting. I was just there for moral support. And he also brought guests with him tonight.
Wow.
All right.
Chief?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Well, the letter I put before you all kind of explains the process somewhat. I can go into more detail if you'd like to know about the application and hiring process. We had 6 applicants, 5 passed the oral interview and moved to the next stage. The process was solely conducted by the deputy chief for obvious reasons, to avoid bias or any kind of accusation of nepotism, I suppose. But the bottom line is, and what I was happy about was that the hiring follows our seniority of part-time officers anyway. And it's always been my goal that if you work part-time and you work hard, barring anything else, you should have a job as a full-time officer. And that's exactly how it lined up in our interview process. Officer Shane Thramer has been with us for approximately 2 years now, and Officer Kane Koscheck has been with us for about a year now. Both have been excellent officers for us. I would say Officer Kane Koscheck is better as an officer than he is at home sometimes. I'm happy about that. In all seriousness, though, they're both, I wish I was as put together as they are at their age, so I'm very excited and happy for the opportunity.
I think that might have been that direction they got as peewee hockey players.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah,
I think-
that foundation early in life.
I was telling
Yes.
Shane, it's exciting, though, to see people
Yes.
we've known like this. You know, you've known Shane forever, and
Yeah.
Kane, and they've just grown into really good officers, so I'm proud of them.
Chair would entertain a motion to hire Officer Koscheck and Officer Tramer for full-time positions.
I'll move.
We have a motion by Counselor Kaler. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Wagner. Discussion.
Just a couple things. Just that having known them both for quite some time now as adults, didn't work with Shane. I don't believe he was working. I was still working, but I've heard nothing but good things about him. And Kane actually worked for me in the jail, so, and I know, and he did a good job for me there. So I think this is a good hire, and I think they're going to do great.
Fantastic, and I can only hope that they're in as good a shape when they're your age as you are right now.
Oh, wow. I mean, they really want to come up and talk, but I don't know how much time we have, so.
Oh, we'll
we'll
make
make
it.
time.
Oh, we'll make, yeah, both chatterboxes.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Chief, if you want to stay there, I had a couple of questions, but I think they've all been answered by the city administrator. But if you could just give some background on the termination of the agreement that we have between the school district and International Falls for the juvenile law enforcement.
So we've been working with the school to update our MOU. The last time it was actually signed was, I think, in 2014, and expired probably in 2016. I don't have it in front
It
of me.
was something like
Something like that. There's been a lot of changes. I don't know if you guys have been following it with the school resource officer position and the restrictions being put on by the state and concerns, and a lot of the majority, I think, of departments are pulling their SROs out of the school for right now until that stuff gets kind of ironed out at the state level. As we looked at a lot of the stuff in the old contract, our concern was that having any kind of contract where we would say, well, we're going to have officers here for a certain period of time would trigger that possible restriction, expose the officer to liability. So I don't want this to be misunderstood. Our goal is still to keep all school engagements the same way they are. It's just more of the legal legalese that we're trying to avoid any kind of liability for the city or the individual officer. Chelsea, you can speak more to it, but I think that kind of covers what our concerns are. We're going to reapproach it if stuff gets ironed out in the near future with the schools and law enforcement, but until then, we're just going to dissolve this one and just kind of wait and see what happens.
So, help me understand, is this different than the resource officer, or is this just, help me understand, because I know that we're actively trying to continue a relationship with the resource officer, but is this kind of what we're talking about?
It's all kind of together. So if you look at a lot of the old MOUs, they lay out, and I think just because we were getting monies from the school and they wanted to have an outline of what they were getting for their money, the old MOUs would say, you're going to have an officer present at certain sporting events, you're going to have an officer present. And it was kind of our consensus that anytime we contractually place an officer in these positions, it could trigger that liability concern that we had with that officer. And it's more erring on the side of caution. I know some schools are saying, no, it's fine, keep your SROs in place. I'm always going to err on the side of caution with liability, though, and I think that this is a good way to avoid that until the state figures out whatever they want to do with this position. To be concise, they were just kind of limiting what a school resource officer could do in the school and telling, well, maybe you should call it a police officer if you witness something happening, saying you can't do certain things. And it's my opinion that we don't want to put an officer in there who can't exercise the full powers of their position. So with that being said, a lot of this, we started talking over the course of the past few months, okay, no school resource officer, does that alleviate the problem? Speaking with Chelsea, we kind of figured any contractual obligation to the school may trigger that liability concern. So I would look at this more as a pause on our MOU. Hopefully we can reapproach it in the future, but no pause on our commitment to the school. We're still going to be doing the school patrol, still going to be at the games. It's just we're not going to enter into a contractual obligation with the school.
And I think that that's what my biggest concern in all of this is
Yeah.
because I think we want to make sure that we are providing law enforcement to the community as a whole, but even more so where we have large groups gathering, whether it's the 4th of July, we have a lot of stuff going on, we have the police officers making a presence there, and when we have a vast majority of all of our youth in one place, it still makes sense to make sure that we have a enforcement or law enforcement present and being part of the daily activities that are there. I'm much more okay with hearing that from you than, we're taking a pause, we're not doing this. But I still would love to continue the conversations with the school on the resource officer. And when I first read this, what I had spoke with the city administrator about is, but I thought we're trying to still make this happen. I'm ready to go and have a conversation with the school district on what value having the officers there is. So it
I'm not giving
alleviates,
up on it. Yeah,
yeah, it
we're not
alleviates a
giving
lot of my concern.
I just, because I've been following this since it started, and that's what it is, but it's really triggered towards school resource officers that you're entered into a contract, from what I enter into a contract, and a lot of them don't even wear uniform. They'll be wearing like a school polo shirt or whatever, and that's who the new legislation is towards, like, so they would still, from what I read, still be able to get called there and do what they need to do. And after reading what we got in the packet today, the Attorney General says it, should be okay, but unless he does, unless it goes to court and something else changes. So I agree with
Yeah.
this, and we'll still be able to be at the schools, the games. You can even still, like you said, go on patrol or whatever, or even go into the school or whatnot. And
Excellent.
And I think when this is done and over with and everything is all decided and everything, I think we could probably have a better MOU than we have right now.
I want to say my goal is to get a school resource officer.
Yeah.
That's my
I mean,
goal
that's-
in the school. We just need to navigate this territory to figure out the path to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's just community engagement. It's, as opposed to looking at like an MOU or anything else, we're going to go with community engagement and keep doing what we've been doing with every aspect of the community. And this is no different. So I don't expect anything to change. It's just
Right.
business as usual.
Yeah, I gotcha. All right, so with that background, Chair would entertain a motion to terminate the agreement.
So moved.
We have a motion by Counselor Buller. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Wagner. Really quick third from Counselor Kaler. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Thank you for that information. Next, we have an order of removal or repair in the matter of a hazardous house located at 801 7th Street. Chair would entertain a motion to approve that order.
I move.
We have a motion by Counselor Kaler. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Counselor Buller. Discussion? Chelsea, do you want to give any information on this? I mean, it's in the packet, and I think that we're, at least I'm well aware of the house and the situation, so.
So, yeah, I am too.
Yeah, it just gives them, basically, once you sign, the city council approves the signature on it, we serve them, they have 60 days to either fix it or remove it, or contact me, I guess, and ask for an extension or something like that. If that 60 days passes, then we push it through court and the city potentially tears it down.
Excellent.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Call question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Consider demolition of property at 1101 9th Street. City Attorney.
Yeah, I might have messed up on this one. Jared asked if he could leave, and I was like, yeah, I don't need you for the Eisensie house. But he's the one that has quotes for this.
Oh,
So we are filing into the court now to get the court order because the 60 days expired yesterday. But I don't actually have those quotes.
okay.
So,
Do you have the court order?
no, the plan was to figure out what the quotes were, and if you guys wanted to approve, like, for example, the low bid, as soon as we get that court order, then we could do it that way prior to the next city council meeting. But now that I don't have quotes, I think it will have to go to the next city council meeting, and I would have an order by then.
Okay.
Fine.
Fine.
No problem. All right, we'll go to approving the delinquent water and sewer accounts to be certified to the county auditor and treasurer. Chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Counselor Buller. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Counselor Kaler. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes, motion carries. Next, we go to approving the delinquent grass and blight invoices to be certified to the auditor treasurer. Chair would entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll move.
We have a motion by Counselor Kaler,
Second. second
by Counselor Wagner. Discussion?
I don't, not a question for Chelsea. Are we any further along? I see Mr. Koneman's on here a couple times, once under his wife's name. Are we getting any closer to his containers being moved off of 9th Avenue and 17th Street there?
So I do not have an easy answer for that. They were supposed to have their first court appearance today. They have retained counsel who asked for a continuance. It is now set for October 30th for their next court date.
Okay.
But hopefully, yes.
Yeah, because I'm just concerned about the whole, I wasn't on the food access, I'm not on it anymore, the food access board, but their whole wanting a trailer in the big, can't do that, and this has been there for, don't know how long, and then we have, and this isn't the only one.
Right.
You know, and that's only thing that I worry about, because just want to be fair, if we can.
Understood. All right, we have a motion and a second. We will call the question.
Aye.
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 And I will vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Next, we have delinquent rental license invoices to be certified. Chair would entertain a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Counselor Wagner. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Counselor Buller. Discussion? So we have the principal amount and the late fee. Are these folks, so these are the ones from June, and then what happened? So we just do this again next year? Is there no, is the fine that we're looking for, or how are we trying to get them into compliance with doing it? Is it the $500 late fee? Is that the correct?
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. I just, I struggle with,
I think I'm struggling with the same thing. Won't make my sister very happy if she gets booted, but, I mean, eventually, though, is it, you can't rent these? Not that we want that either, not rent these places because we need the housing and all that.
So I think this came up just about a year ago. It was one of the first kind of questions or tasks I had. And the answer was yes. I mean, you can say these people can't live there. I think the consensus at that time was we don't want to necessarily make it so these tenants have nowhere to go.
Right.
We need to formulate something for where they can go. And I think that's as far as it got, and it may have been me that dropped the ball and didn't research it further, but that's my understanding.
I was just wondering, and I'm
But
fine with if eventually, though, that,
my issue is, I love that we're fining the people for not being in compliance, but I think that we need to do more because they're running a business on taking care of houses, and I don't know if we're able to go through these homes because technically they haven't been licensed, they haven't filled out the paperwork, they haven't been licensed, so we have no access to go and look at the house, see how they're being maintained. And so should we allow them to be renting the property even though they paid a late fee and we're putting it on their taxes? They're operating a business, and this is a business license.
So I have researched this.
Please, yeah, either way.
To clarify, so some of them on the list did pay the first year rental license. We are, going into our third year now, but they refused to pay the second year. So I just wanted to be clear that some of them have had inspections, they have had licenses, but they chose not to renew them when renewal period came up.
And the issue that I have with that, thank you, that is great information, but the issue that I have with that is they are operating a business. I mean, not to put my own personal business, but I have to have a liquor license to sell liquor. I need to have a restaurant license to operate a restaurant. This is a rental license to operate a rental. So I struggle with us allowing them to continue to operate rental, but then we have people that are involved. We have family members that wouldn't have a place to live, and that's a very, very tough position for us to be in. But it is a business license. So,
and another thing back, just like they look at all the landlords that have paid their licenses.
correct.
That's the, I mean, we can look at it further, I guess, but I think we're both, you maybe after a couple times, all right, that's,
Yeah. And I think that's not anything that we need to decide today, but I think that that's a conversation that we should have at a committee of the whole meeting, or, just even land use and legislation. Somebody needs to be looking at this on coming up with the what-ifs, or having a moratorium after such amount of time, you are not allowed to rent this property because you haven't went through the correct channels, whatever that looks like.
So I stumbled upon basically the answer to that. It's called an administrative warrant. Cities with rental licensing have It's gone all the way through the Court of Appeals already. Administrative warrants for the specific purpose of rental licensing have thus far been upheld. And an administrative warrant, basically, you petition the court grants it, and it allows whoever the inspector is to actually get into the house and at least perform the inspection. So that, it only, I guess, answers part of the issue, is you can get in and inspect it, but it doesn't require them, obviously, to fix it, and potentially you'd have to kick them out. But whatever you want me to do with it, I can.
Well, and what I think what my personal issue is with it is, I don't want to see us putting anybody out onto the street, but I think that they have to be doing what is expected and what everybody else in that profession in our community is doing. And I think that's the crux of my issue with it. But it's a tough deal, because I don't want to put anybody out on the street because, or,
The administrative warrant, though, would give us a chance to look at it, and then we could decide from there what's going on.
fair enough.
You know, what are the issues? If there's,
And the group, I'm
if there
sorry.
are life-threatening issues, there's issues that's got to be addressed right away. If it's not, you know, then we can decide from there. But I think that's a good place to start, is if we have questions, to get that. And
Let's have a deeper conversation about this at the committee of the whole and just see what our options are.
Because I mentioned somebody, and I know it's fine to live in, that's one where I have an issue with not paying the licenses 5 times over, where it shouldn't be an issue.
No, understood. Understood. All right, well, we have a motion and a second approving the delinquent license rental, and we'll have some more conversation about that at the committee of the whole. However, we have a motion and a second to approve the delinquent rental licenses. I will call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Next, consider a moratorium on the 2024 snowplowers license. The conversation was at the committee of the whole, the land use and legislation earlier today, and the consensus and recommendation is to raise the price of a snowplowers license to $50 a year. So the chair would entertain a motion to move forward with that recommendation.
I'll move.
We have a motion by Councillor Kaler. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councillor Wagner. Discussion? Background on the,
Yeah, I get.
oh, please.
I was just going to ask what moratorium.
I requested this to go on the agenda because of the calls that I've gotten on the snow plowing license and insurance and that type of stuff. And if we aren't, I requested a moratorium until we could get this finalized and figured out with insurance-wise and fees.
Wonderful.
That's why the moratorium was there, because it's getting real close to now what Lisa said, that licenses were going to be sent out, or they can start applying for them, and rather than get a couple snow plowing license sold, and then we turn around and change things. So I just requested this moratorium so we can get it on the committee, or the committee of the whole, discuss it and see where we're at. There's some information that we have that what the state requires for your minimal property liability. There's some thoughts on what we should require for property liability. So that's the request that I had, to put this on here as a moratorium so we can get this on committee of the whole and get discussed.
Okay, so interesting, because that is not how we took it at land use and legislation. However, I want to get just some conversations of stuff on the past to what happened today. Last year, I had been contacted about raising the fees on the snowplow license. And the reason for it was because the particular person that had contacted me is a business that runs snowplow, and he felt like he was being undercut by people that were just doing it to help a buddy or whatever and paying the $25 fee and putting the money in their pocket or whatever. I'm not trying to, that's the conversation that it had happened. And his concerns also were that there was not any business licenses, there wasn't any insurance above and beyond the liability. Today, when we had the conversation, that was where we started. However, Lisa had pointed out that as they had looked at other cities throughout Minnesota, we're the only one that they were able to find that has a snowplow license. With that being said, we went to move it to $50 to try to just make it a little bit more difficult for people to get, to try to satisfy the concern that we had from the business owner. And I don't know if we had been speaking to the same business owner or not.
Sure.
But that's where we were at. Originally, we were going to push it out for a month and talk about it at Land Use and Legislation or Committee of the Whole. The issue that we had is Lisa had pointed out that all of those forms would be being sent out this week. So we figured the fact that other cities may not even have a snowplow license, we would move it up to $50 and we could have those continued conversations amongst the council if we wanted to do something in the future.
I think my concern too, and some concerns were that they would have a commercial insurance carry too. And I did some checking in the, you can up your personal car insurance or pickup insurance up to $250,000 for property damage. And the state requires $10,000 for minimum. So I mean, I think that's where we need to require that something more than $10,000 for minimum, just to protect the people that we're giving the license to them, but protect the people that they're plowing for.
Huh, hadn't thought of that.
So, I mean, I think that should be
But it-
addressed also with the fee. The fee I'm fine with, but I think we need to address the insurance with it. That's my concern with just raising the fee.
I understand that. That's a good point. If we came up with next week, because your concern was you wanted to bring it to the Committee of the Whole to have a bigger conversation, correct?
Correct.
So if we were to still raise the fee to $50 this week, be able to allow Lisa to be able to send out that information to the folks, and then not issue any licenses with the moratorium like you're speaking, we could still send out the license paperwork, but we wouldn't approve any of those licenses until we finalize this at a Committee of the Whole? Does that make sense?
Unless we want to change our amendment to change the fee to $50 and then a minimum of $250,000 property damage insurance, I'd go along with that. We wouldn't have to discuss it anymore.
Well, I'm not quite ready to go $250,000 of insurance unless, if the state's only making it mandatory that you have to have 10,000.
Check and see what you carry. I checked on mine over there just to see what's about it, and I've got 250. Just,
Fair enough.
it's not
I
like,
could hold off on sending out the snowplow license and send out all other license. We'd like to hold off on that one.
Okay. I'm comfortable having a full conversation at the Committee of the Whole and then bringing it up to the next council meeting.
I can bring some, okay, when it comes to the next committee of the whole, I'll bring along the information on the prices of the insurance also then.
Excellent.
So we know what it's going to cost them to have that, and it's not that much, so.
Okay, fair enough. So, Counselor Kaler, are you willing to,
I am.
okay, excellent. So Counselor Kaler is retracting his motion. We're going to move this entire thing to Committee of the Whole, and we'll have that conversation on Monday. Excellent. Next, we have Public Works Committee recommendations. Consider proposals for services for the 17th Street water main replacement in conjunction with the Coochin County Road Reconstruction Project scheduled for the summer of 2024. Chair would entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll move.
We have a motion by Councilor Fuller. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Kaler. Any questions or concerns?
Just that we decided to do this, it was decided because the county's already going to be doing the road, and we have, I think Ted or Jason explained at a meeting that about the old cast iron pipe down there that needs to be replaced. So figured if they're already tearing up the road, this would be a time to do it and get it fixed.
Excellent. Any other concerns, questions? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Right.
I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Any other business to come before the council? Hearing none, reports of boards, committees, department heads? Deputy City Administrator?
I have nothing.
City Attorney?
I don't think I have anything in.
All right. Department heads? Future department heads? All right. Reports of the mayor, council, committees, boards, and commissions. I just want to point out that we do have a meeting tomorrow morning with the county, part of our continued conversations on joint projects that we're working on. Everybody from the city council was invited, except for Councilor Wagner, but.
I don't have a meeting tomorrow, so that's good.
So coincidentally, he wasn't able to make it regardless, so good thing he didn't get an invite. So anyways, we're going to be having some additional conversations tomorrow with the county on that. National Walk to School Day is on Wednesday morning at 8:30. I believe the police department, fire department, myself, council members are welcome to come to that particular event and walk to the school. This year, it looks like the first time that it's not going to be horrible since I've done it. I'm really, really excited not to walk in the rain. So,
Supposed to rain on Wednesday.
Wednesday's not here yet.
oh, good. Then it's just like normal.
It's supposed to start at midnight on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
Oh, yeah, Wednesday's going to rain now. 70%. Great, I was waiting for that. All right, any boards and commissions? Hearing none, we'll go to the audience. Anybody from the audience have anything to bring forward? Anybody online? No.
No, Crystal.
Crystal?
I have a question.
Hold on. People at home can't hear you, and I am more than willing to make sure that they can.
Thank you. Am I right to assume that when accounts that are past due are sent to the county, they're put on the property taxes? And assuming people pay their property taxes, are those amounts going to be reimbursed to the city?
100%. That is the,
100%, the county doesn't retain a user fee?
no, they come back to the city. The only time that it ends up being a little bit wonky is if it goes back on delinquent taxes, and then the state ends up retaining the property, and then it comes down to if the city, if it goes up for sale, there's back taxes that need to be paid. The city can forego those to get it back on the tax rolls. So that's the only time it can kind of get wonky, but yes, if they pay their taxes, the city gets paid in full.
Thank you.
All right, any other audience members? Hearing none, go to your correspondence. We have the International Falls Rainier, Rainy Lake Conventions and Visitors Bureau financial reports, and a press release from Voyageurs National Park. Our next regular city council meeting is going to be Monday, October 16th at 5:30. This meeting is adjourned.